Feels great to be getting ready for our first game. Fall camp's been, I think, very productive and really pleased with our guys' effort. But it's always good to get into game week mode and get our guys focused on playing somebody else. I think they're tired of hitting each other. And been through the spring and through fall camp. So very excited to get this season rolling. Ready for questions.
What makes you feel like this defense can be better than it was last year and better than it has in the past?
Well, I think for us, when I look at our players, and there's a lot of guys that have played a lot of snaps, especially at linebacker and in the back end. I know last year they played a lot of young guys in the secondary, which is difficult. That's tough to do, and so I think those guys are all a year older, so that really will be a big plus. You have kind of the opposite situation up front, where we graduate a lot of experience and a lot of good players, and so got a lot more question marks there. But I think overall for me, it's believing in what we're doing as a system, believing what we're building, in the mentality of our guys and the way that they've practiced and the way they've performed each and every day. We've really worked hard on developing those good habits. And I think seeing those habits and seeing them being consistently, on the practice field, that's given us a lot of encouragement going against a good offense every single day. I think that's one thing that, I've been in places where sometimes that's not, you don't always know where you stand before you take a game and play somebody else. But I feel like that our guys have been challenged every day against a good offensive line and good receivers and good running backs and good quarterbacks competing for a job. And so that's forced us to have to really be on top of our game every single day.
Obviously, you got experienced guys in the linebacker, Gray and Marcus, and behind them, TJ and Dawson. What do you need, I guess, from that position? And in particular, maybe when you do have a really experienced kind of two deep there.
Leadership and production. You need, from day one, I've challenged those guys to run the defense, and that will never change. That position demands leadership on and off the field. And so to me, that's priority number one. And number two, just like I always tell our coaches, when you're recruiting and when you're watching guys play high school football, where they put their best players. They carry the ball or they put them at linebacker, so they can either score touchdowns or make tackles. So those guys have got to be our most productive players. So linebackers have got to be great leaders and great young men that can get to the football and get that guy on the ground. So we've got to be great tacklers. So to me, those are the two key things.
Tom, the secondary struggled last year. You mentioned there are a lot of young guys there, and it's tough. How optimistic are you that this year they can deliver for you?
Well, they got to rise up, and we believe in them. It's a tough position to play for sure, and especially in today's game, as many snaps as they end up having to play, and in so much space and the tempo that you see, and so many opportunities to make plays or not make a play. So I feel like that once again, going against our receiving core, which has a lot of talented players in it, surely helps. And so, being another year older and hopefully being comfortable in their technique. We've really worked on some things, obviously, since spring started to fall camp of being able to play the football, and understanding what that means from a technique standpoint and how you position yourself. And to me, at the end of the day, it's like anything else. You get what you emphasize. And so, we got to go get that ball. We talk to our guys, that's our football as a defensive mindset. And so that ball's in the air, it's ours. And so it's obviously technique, and it's want to, and it's just a matter of understanding, what they're trying to do per their routes and the concepts as you read those route concepts. So we're excited for these guys. I know that they'll be challenged by a very experienced receiver core and an experienced quarterback from day one. But I feel like that, they're going to be guys that respond to that and, make plays when we need them the most. And that's what guys in the secondary have to do.
It was Marcus Oliver a few minutes ago was mentioning the acronym LEO for loving each other. I mean, how does that manifest itself in the way those guys have practiced last month?
It comes down to, for me, it's all about making it about that guy and not about me. And that affects when you get out there and it's 100 degrees or whatever it is, and you don't feel like doing what you're doing, and you're ready to kind of, step off the field or take a play off or let up a little bit. We can all sometimes do that internally. But when you know that the guys around you and they're counting on you and you're counting on them, and there's a brotherhood of genuine love and concern for each other, I think that makes a difference. And how hard you practice, how are you willing to go and spend extra time to watch that extra film? Why? Because these guys are counting on me. It's that overall mentality and environment of accountability in a positive way that drives me, knowing that I've got the weight of these guys on me. And every guy feels that way, not just the guys that are the quote-unquote leaders. And so one of the first things we ever talked about was LEO. And we hashtag it with each other all the time when we text each other. And it's built into the culture of how we live. And we talk about how's that look off the field. How's that look when I'm, with my buddies, on the weekend or, at night or wherever I'm doing. And so to me, it's about getting these guys to be a close-knit, very strongly bound group of guys that truly do love each other, not just as a catchy little saying, but that's how they live their lives.
Key to keeping the defense resilient when it will face adversity at times, when things will go awry at times.
It's part of it. I think it's a critical part because, the other thing we talk about a lot is there will be adversity. There's going to be adversity, on Thursday night. When's it going to happen? I don't know, but it's going to happen. And you have to understand that. And it's, as I teach this, I try and teach everything about, this game of football is such an awesome teacher of life. And that's what's going to happen. And so who do you count on and what do you lean on and who do you draw to when things go wrong? Because they're going to go wrong, and everybody can relate to that. They've all had situations in their homes that have, bad things have happened that they have no control over. Sometimes you get a call that goes against you. You get, sometimes offense makes a mistake. We got to run out there and put out the fire in a sudden change situation. And all those kind of things are part of training them so that when they happen, it's just, hey, we're like this. It's not a bunch of individuals. It's all like this. And to me, that's what creates the power of the unit to be able to withstand the negatives and the things that happen, throughout a game and throughout the season and throughout life.
You're known for 4-2-5. Does it actually go to the mentality of what you're trying to coach more or the scheme? Mentality.
I don't think the scheme is any special. If there was a special scheme, everybody would be running the same thing. I think it's way more important of a mentality. It's way more important of teaching these young men to believe in themselves first, the people around them, that includes coaches and players. And to me, that is way more important than 4-3, 4-2-5, 3-4. We run the system that we feel best fits our players to match with who we're going to play and who we got to beat.
This team can overcome the here we go again mentality.
I believe we can, but I tell you what, you have to be put in that situation again and have to be able to have success different than in the past to sear that belief. And that's why I had a guy ask me the other day, hey, how's the team looking? I said, well, we're going to find out, real soon, because the next step is doing it on game day when everything goes wrong. How you going to respond? It's easy to feel really good when you're doing things against each other and you're teaching and coaching and working fall camp, but how do you respond when that happens on the field and it's happened in the past in situations and you say, is it here we go again or is it no? I put my fist in the air and I put my foot in the ground and I say it stops and it changes today. And that's what we've been preaching ever since we got here, is that it changes today. So that's our mentality. He's tough. He's a physical guy, very coachable, and he's a guy that we trust. And I think that's, we've challenged our guys recently here and say, in the huddle, who do you trust? Who can you count on when it's fourth down on the goal line and we got to get a stop to win the game, which has happened here in the past, recently. Who you going to count on when it's 3rd and 7 and we need a critical stop to sway the momentum of the game? And he's a guy that I trust, and he's a guy that his teammates trust. And so I think you'll see him, and he could be in multiple roles on this team just because he's that kind of guy, and you can't have enough of those guys.
No shot
being fired, is there one thing you can put your finger on where you've seen the most improvement in this defense since you got here?
You know, I think just from the recent of watching things and comparing, you know, I think their ability to move as a unit in sync at both levels, from the front to the back, and I think being in the right positions. Now, like I tell them, they got to make plays. You know, I haven't tackled anybody in 24 years. Okay, not legally, anyways, and so, but they got to make those plays. It's our job to get them in position, and they got to finish. And so, but I do think when you watch the film and you watch practice and you see, you know, us go against, and even some of that is just talking to our offensive coaches, because I really have not, and you know, on purpose didn't go back and overly evaluate the past, but saw some games and obviously watched some cut-ups and watched this game a year ago against FIU, obviously. But just being able to talk to our own offensive coaches, just kind of saying some things that may be different. Some of it is schematical differences in terms of where guys will be fitting and things against our own offense. But that to me would be what kind of sticks out.
Having coached at Mississippi, the linebackers been around the SEC. Obviously, their defenses are renowned for speed and being able to play in space. In all honesty, is the talent gap not too deep between what you see here and what you saw there?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a different style in some ways. You know, I think, and I've watched obviously all of our opponents all this summer that we're playing this season, and so haven't watched every Big Ten team, but seen them over the years. And you know, there's no question the SEC is known for its speed, and that whole part of the country, high school football and up, is all the same way in terms of what you have in a difference from up in the Midwest per se. But I would say there's a little bit more. You know, the line play on the offensive side of the ball in the Big Ten is pretty impressive. You know, and I think it's better, you know, than that part. Now, the D-line, you know, I think the D-line in the SEC is kind of where they may separate themselves a little bit, you know. So, and at receiver, you know, I've noticed some bigger receivers here, watching them on film. Not maybe as many smaller, twitchier guys, but they still can run. So it's not like they're, you know, not fast. But I think just you're going to probably have some overall more speed there for sure. But I think, you know, as we all say, they've done this enough that you really win up front, and the O-lines in the Big Ten are second to none. You know, so I think that's really gives our conference an edge.